You ever notice how some people seem to attract money without even trying, while others work twice as hard and stay broke? Here's what nobody tells you. Wealth isn't about working harder, it's about thinking different. Your brain, right now, is running on mental rules that were programmed into you by broke people. And until you rewrite those rules, money will keep avoiding you. In this video, we're breaking down the 7 mental rules rich people follow that keep poor people stuck. Welcome to the Identity Lab, where we rewire your identity to rewrite your reality. Rule number 1, they separate emotion from decision. Ray Dalio built the largest hedge fund in the world, Bridgewater Associates, over $160 billion under management. And when he teaches decision-making, he says the same thing every time. The biggest threat to good decisions is harmful emotions. Here's what happens in your brain. When you make decisions while angry, scared, or desperate, your lower brain takes over, the emotional part, the part that wants to protect you right now, not make you wealthy later. Rich people have trained themselves to pause. They recognize when emotion is hijacking the decision, then they wait. Dalio calls this the 2-step process, learning first, then deciding. Poor people do the opposite. They decide based on how they feel, then look for information that backs up that feeling. That's why they stay poor. Look at Warren Buffett. When everyone was panicking during the 2008 financial crisis, selling everything, Buffett was buying. Not because he didn't feel fear, he felt it, but he separated that emotion from his decision. That one mental rule made him billions while others lost everything. You want to know if emotion is controlling you? Ask yourself this. When was the last time you made a big decision, then regretted it a week later? That was emotion. Rich people almost never regret their decisions because they don't make them emotionally. Rule number 2, they use the 20-slot rule. Here's something Buffett teaches at business schools. Imagine you have a punch card with only 20 slots. Those 20 slots represent every major investment you can make in your lifetime. Once you punch through all 20, you're done. No more investments ever. Buffett says if you operated under those rules, you would think very carefully about what you did. You would be forced to load up on what you really believed in, and you would do so much better. Most people treat life like they have unlimited slots. They jump from idea to idea. They start 50 projects and finish none. They spread their time, their money, their energy across 100 different things, and they wonder why nothing works. Rich people think in slots. They know their attention is finite, their time is finite, so they become incredibly selective. They ask, is this worth one of my 20 slots? And if the answer is no, they don't do it. Charlie Munger, Buffett's partner, said it perfectly. To me, it's obvious that the winner has to bet very selectively. It's been obvious since very early in life. I don't know why it's not obvious to many other people. Poor people see opportunity everywhere. Rich people see opportunity nowhere until they find the one thing worth their slot. That's the difference. Rule number 3, they think in systems, not goals. Poor people set goals. Rich people build systems. Here's why that matters. A goal is something you want to achieve. A system is something you do repeatedly that moves you toward what you want. Let's say 2 people both want to make $1 million. Person A simply sets a goal to make $1 million, but person B builds a system. Every week, I will improve one skill that increases my value. Every month, I will invest 20% of my income. Every quarter, I will test one new income stream. Who do you think gets there faster? The person obsessing over the goal or the person executing the system? The system wins every time because goals rely on motivation. Systems create inevitability. Ray Dalio runs Bridgewater on systems. He calls them principles. He says most people make decisions emotionally and inconsistently, but if you turn your best decisions into principles, into systems, you remove emotion entirely. You just follow the system.
Here's the harsh truth. If you don't have systems for making money, managing money, and investing money, you won't keep money, even if you make it. That's why lottery winners go broke. They never built the systems. Rule number 4, they practice detachment. This one sounds mystical, but it's pure psychology. Rich people practice detachment from outcomes. They make the best decision they can, then let go of needing it to work out perfectly. Dalio talks about this in his book Principles. He says you have to cultivate the ability to detach and observe your thoughts and emotions without getting entangled. This is what he calls the power of detachment. When you're emotionally attached to an outcome, you can't see reality clearly. You see what you want to see. Poor people are attached. They need this business to work. They need this investment to pay off. They need this job to last forever. That need creates desperation, and desperation makes terrible decisions. Rich people approach it differently. They think, I believe this is the right move based on the information I have. If it works, great. If it doesn't, I'll learn and adjust. No desperation, no attachment, just clear thinking. Joe Dispenza teaches this same concept in his book, Becoming Supernatural. He says the moment you start feeling abundant and worthy, you are generating wealth. You're not chasing it. You're not attached to it. You're already operating from the identity of someone who has it. That detachment is what allows you to make bold moves without fear, because you're not desperate for the outcome. You're confident in the process. Rule number 5, they prioritize learning over earning. Warren Buffett spends 80% of his day reading and thinking. 80%. Charlie Munger said, in my whole life, I have known no wise people who didn't read all the time. None. Zero. Rich people see learning as the investment that pays the highest return, because the more you know, the better your decisions. The better your decisions, the more money you make. It's a compounding loop. Poor people see learning as a cost. They don't have time to read. They're too busy working. But here's the problem. If you don't take time to learn, you stay stuck doing the same thing that's keeping you broke. Look at Dalio. He says decision-making is a 2-step process. Learning, then deciding. If you skip the learning step, your decisions are based on outdated information, biases, and emotions, and those decisions keep you broke. Rich people invest in knowledge first. They read books, they study industries, they talk to people smarter than them. Then, when it's time to decide, they have a clear picture of reality. Poor people skip straight to deciding, then wonder why it didn't work. If you're not spending at least 1 hour a day learning something that makes you more valuable, you're choosing to stay broke. It's that simple. Rule number 6, they focus on high-impact activities. This ties back to the 20-slot rule. Rich people are obsessed with leverage. They ask, what's the one thing I can do that will make everything else easier or unnecessary? Most people fill their day with low-impact tasks, checking email, scrolling social media, attending pointless meetings. They stay busy, but they're not productive. Rich people are ruthless about cutting low-impact activities. If it doesn't move the needle, they don't do it. Buffett demonstrated this perfectly. He told a talk show host he sent exactly 1 email in his entire life. 1. Does he have the intelligence to learn email? Of course. Is it worth his time? Absolutely not. He focuses only on high-impact activities, reading, thinking, making big investment decisions. Everything else gets delegated or ignored. Poor people try to do everything themselves. They multitask. They pride themselves on being busy. But being busy is not the same as being effective. Rich people would rather do 1 thing incredibly well than 10 things poorly. Here's the rule. If an activity doesn't directly create value, build a system, or improve a skill, it's stealing from your future wealth. Cut it. Rule number 7. They embrace pain and reflection. Ray Dalio has a famous equation, pain plus reflection equals progress. Most people run from pain. They avoid failure. They make excuses when something goes wrong. Rich people do the opposite. They lean into the pain. They ask, what did I do wrong? What can I learn? How do I avoid this next time? Dalio says when you face a setback, your lower emotional brain reacts defensively. It wants to fight or flee. It offers excuses. But your higher rational brain knows that honest assessment leads to growth. Rich people have trained themselves to pause during pain. They reflect. They extract the lesson. Then they turn that lesson into a principle, a rule they follow forever. That's how they evolve faster than everyone else.
Joe Dispenza talks about this in Becoming Supernatural. He says your brain is wired to repeat the past. It runs on autopilot. But the only way to break that pattern is through conscious reflection and reconditioning. You have to interrupt the loop, feel the pain, reflect on it, then rewire your response. Poor people experience pain and just move on. They don't reflect. They don't extract lessons, so they repeat the same mistakes over and over, and they wonder why their life never changes. Rich people treat every failure as data, every setback as a lesson. That's why they grow exponentially, while others stay stuck. All right, those are the 7 mental rules rich people follow that keep poor people broke. Separate emotion from decision. Use the 20-slot rule. Think in systems, not goals. Practice detachment. Prioritize learning over earning. Focus on high-impact activities. Embrace pain and reflection. Here's the truth. You already have the intelligence to be wealthy. You just don't have the mental rules yet. But now you do. The question is, will you apply them? Or will you go back to thinking like everyone else? If you found this valuable or will adopt any of these rules, drop the word rules in the comments. That's how I know you made it to the end. And remember, change who you are, change what you attract. Welcome to the Identity Lab.